Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to review this webinar on the precodes for the Keystone exams. The Division of Assessment and Accountability, DAA, in collaboration with the Office of Data Quality, ODQ, are responsible for the PIMS trainings, the attribution map, PIMS attribution rules, and all accountability reporting functions. There is contact information at the end of this presentation, so please feel free to contact us. Who submits data to PIMS? Any entity that teaches a Keystone-related course must assess the student in algebra, biology, and/or literature with an end-of-course Keystone exam. Keystone courses are designated by the LEA. Designating a course as a Keystone course is a local decision and not mandated by PDE. LEA should look at the content standards for a Keystone course before designating the course to ensure that students have the requisite knowledge to demonstrate proficiency in the Keystone exam. Students taking the Keystone exam must be uploaded to PIMS on the student and school enrollment templates. Their enrollment must be inclusive of the internal snapshot date to be included in the data sent to the testing vendor. Who should test? States must comply with the federal requirement that all students must test at least once in high school in all 3 Keystone exams. Students can take and test in a Keystone exam anytime from grades 3 through 12. Regardless of when or where the student takes the Keystone exam, the student's scores are not attributed until grade 11 for accountability. LEAs identify the courses that meet the state standards for the Keystone exams called a trigger course. This is a local decision. If a student takes the Keystone course identified by the LEA, the student must take the subject-specific Keystone exam. The student does not have to complete the course in order to take the Keystone exam if the student scored advanced on the previous year's subject-specific PSSA. If the student is near the end of the Keystone course, the student should take the Keystone exam. Students are required to score proficient or advanced in Algebra 1, biology, and literature by spring of grade 11. Act 158, high school graduation, states that demonstrating proficiency in these 3 Keystone exams will be one of the pathways to meet graduation requirements beginning with the class of 2021-2022. There are 2 templates, student and school enrollment, that need to be updated and uploaded in Collection Window 6 to make sure that the data passes the data quality engine rules. In order to submit the correct data, PIMS administrators must first identify the students who are taking the Keystone exams and upload them for this internal snapshot. These students should be coded with a valid value of Y, N, or O for the specific Keystone testing window. Field 214 is utilized for winter Keystone assessments. Field 215 is used for the spring Keystone assessments. And Field 216 is utilized for summer Keystone assessments. These fields are used to send data to the testing vendor so that the LEAs can set up test sessions and receive precode labels. It is important that PIMS administrators verify the data that has been successfully uploaded by running the pre-snapshot verification reports. Final data must be uploaded by noon on the deadline on the elementary and secondary data collection calendar listed on the PIMS website. Please note that data cannot be corrected after the internal snapshot deadline. This is an overview of the PIMS process for the internal snapshot. The deadline for the precode for Keystone exams is noon on the internal snapshot date. All internal snapshot dates are listed in the elementary and secondary data collection calendar located on the PIMS website. In the first of 3 blocks, the graphic begins with PDE sending communications to LEAs reminding them of the internal snapshots. Next, LEAs upload the student and school enrollment templates to PIMS. The LEAs then run the pre-snapshot reports to verify accuracy of the data submitted. Since there is no correction window, This should all occur before the internal snapshot date. After the deadline, PIMS locks down temporarily to take the internal snapshot and generate the data file that will be sent to the testing vendor. There can be no corrections made after this time. Once PIMS reopens, LEAs can run their snapshot reports and accuracy certification statement. This is an overview of the details we will be discussing for the Precode Keystone Exams internal snapshot. It begins with the student in the blue circle, which includes the student's 5 matching criteria. It is very important that the 5 matching criteria are correct because this is how students are linked to test results later in the year. This is why there's so much emphasis on getting these fields right. The 5 matching criteria are first name, last name, date of birth, PA Secure ID, and grade. Please make sure the student's PA Secure ID is unique to the student. Students with 2 IDs or 2 students sharing 1 ID have to be resolved. Contact the PIMS Application Support Desk for help with PA Secure IDs. The boxes include data about students, including the student demographics and school enrollment information. If there are any special characters other than numbers, dashes, and apostrophes, it will cause a mismatch in the testing vendor system, and the LEA will have to manually match each student. Data from the school enrollment template is used to determine the students who will be included in the internal snapshot. Please pay special attention to the accuracy of entry withdrawal dates, codes, and grades. Note, students must have an E or R enrollment code prior to the internal snapshot date and not be withdrawn prior to the snapshot to be included in the internal snapshot. It is extremely important that you update the appropriate Keystone Exam student template Keystone Assessment Code fields. Field 214, winter, 215, spring, and 216, summer. Enter Y if the student is taking the Keystone Exam and needs a Precode label. Enter N if the student is not taking the Keystone Exam and does not need a Precode label. Enter O for online testers. These students will appear in the Precode file to the testing vendor and can be added to test sessions. Special case. The IU is responsible for students in the IU classroom housed outside the IU, even if that IU classroom is in a district building. The IU classroom will use labels sent to the IU. If there are no labels, the students' booklets will have to be hand bubbled. The IU classroom students should be bubbled with the AUN of the sending district of residence school. The demographics for students are embedded in Precode labels. If the student cannot be matched using the 5 matching criteria, the student record has to be matched manually to their test record by the LEA. Using student demographics can help LEAs identify unmatched students. These subgroups will be listed in your reports for verification. We use state, LEA, and school entry data fields to help identify the full academic year. The date in these fields cannot be a future date and must be in logical order. For more information on these fields, please see PIMS Manual, Volume 1. The following fields will be utilized during attribution. Please review them for accuracy. Field 117, District Code of Residence, Appendix N of the PIMS Manual, Volume 2. And Field 165, Location Code of Residence, is also used during attribution. A student's PA Secure ID must be reported to the testing vendor by only one LEA. When more than one LEA reports a student in the internal snapshot, the following rules will be applied to deduplicate the students. Please review these student scenarios to help determine proper attribution. Here are listed a few more PDE's deduplication rules for attribution. Please watch the full version of Keystone Exam Precodes webinar or consult the Assessment How-To Guide for more details. Pre-snapshot reports reflect data loaded into production. They should be run prior to the internal snapshot date. The snapshot reports reflect data that was included in the internal snapshot. They should be run when PIMS reopens after the internal snapshot is taken. Please reference the elementary-secondary data collection calendar for prior year and current year dates to utilize when running any pre-snap or snapshot reports. There are a few resources we would like to point out to you. On PAR's webpage of the PDE website, you can find information on Chapter 4, Academic Standards, PA's ESEA Flexibility Waiver, the Attribution Map, and trainings. There's a link to the Future Ready PA Index website, which contains LEA data that PDE uses to report federal accountability. Lastly, the PIMS webpage is listed. The PIMS calendar, Assessment How-To Guide, and PIMS manuals can be downloaded from this website. A list of contacts are provided if you have any questions or need clarification. The Division of Assessment and Accountability can be reached at ra-pas@pa.gov. Please call 800-661-2423 to get assistance from the PIMS Application Support Desk. Lastly, the Office of Data Quality can be emailed at ra-ddq-datacollection@pa.gov. Thank you for reviewing this webinar for Keystone Exams Precodes.